And hello, WPF. Welcome back to our Deoxys Division PRs for WPF Season 18. We're here with the Attack PRs, and I'm joined here with Samuel the Strong.
Hello again. Excited to do
Uh,
this.
yeah, we're gonna get it. We're gonna get right into it. Unfortunately, Lantern couldn't join us for this one, but we're gonna try to give justice to these teams and then show you how they're all match up. Uh, we went a little bit over all the methodology in the Deoxys Div video. So if you do want a little bit of a checkup on how we ended up doing these, go check the start of that video and then come back. But yeah, we're gonna head right into this. A quick little reminder, the power rankings are opinion based and they don't really have a say in how well a particular player will do. The list is solely how we feel the teams compare in specifically a team building sense. And I think that makes us good to go right into our 12th team for the season, which is going to end up being Takua on the Kiwus. I
Oh
do not
yeah.
like saying that, but we're here with a very
Hey, it's
interesting
a
team.
name.
It is certainly a
Yeah.
name. We see this as a nice Dialga origin team, which, as we said in the past video, is going to definitely something a lot of us are interested in seeing how it'll map out. Um, I do think Terra Greninja is nice as a faster speed control. You have it paired with Landorus, you have it with Hatterene for hazard deterrent. Um,
Yep.
yeah, and there's also the big thing here that this is a triple moth team.
Triple moth. Yep. All three.
All three of them are
Not
here.
every moth Pokemon in existence, but the big three. The
Yeah,
big three moths.
they really should have committed. It's
Yeah,
it's
for real.
very
Where's Mothim?
interesting also seeing Oricorio here when you have Volcarona already. I think that's
Yeah, that's true.
I think that's very interesting.
It's definitely an
Um,
interesting team, and I think it's the second time we've seen. I don't remember if it was the top two picks, but we saw a team in Psycho Boost with that same Dialga Origin and Greninja Terra. So it'll be
yeah,
really
we
interesting
saw
as
that.
well to see how that duo in particular performs, and
Hmm.
maybe we can see some of the rationale behind why those two have some synergy potentially.
Yeah, definitely. I do think when it comes to criticisms, we're looking at a team that I think somewhat lacks maybe some breakers. We're looking at mainly Dialga, Greninja, Iron Moth, and those are all very much more on the specialty oriented side. You're going to see maybe like
Yeah,
potentially some mixed Dialga's work. And I do feel like Landorus is probably going to be relegated to more of a bulky role in most of these matches.
definitely. Yeah, looking at your hazard options, you'd prefer, Dialga does have Stealth Rock. You prefer not to run spikes on Terra Greninja 9 times out of 10. But I mean, there's some niche
Hmm.
stuff. Toxic spikes on Iron Moth. Brambleghast has spikes. Yeah, and Gol. I mean, if Golem does come, obviously it has access to hazards, but you are going to be relying on some of these Pokemon, like you're saying, more on the special side to break teams up with this setup. And then another thing that, like, a criticism of mine in particular is I feel like it is going to be somewhat tough given uh, the 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 makeup of this team. I would say to bring some of these lower picks. I think you're going to see a lot of games where you have Dialga Origin, you have Greninja Terra, and Landorus coming. I think that you're going to have to rely on Brambleghast to be spinning, just because Hatterene is not, in and of itself, a complete deterrent to hazards. So you have some limitations on how many of these mid-tier picks that you can bring as well.
That's very true. Yeah, so like I'd say overall, you're looking at maybe a little bit of a lack of physical offense. You're looking at maybe not the best removal because you're only really looking at Spin, Brambleghast, and Defog Oricorio, and then you do have Hatterene. But yeah, otherwise it's a little bit unfortunate. Um,
Yeah,
and
definitely so.
Yeah, definitely. All right,
And
I
I
think
think
we're
maybe we can head to the
yeah, we
next
can
one.
move
Yeah.
over, scooch over to number 11 here, which we're going to be looking at Swaggy Boy on the Blade Breakers. And we're going to see this
Oh
is a
yes.
very, very interesting Iron Bundle team. And one thing
Hmm.
that catches my eye is a very interesting region core between Galarian Slowking and Cyclizar.
Ooh, yeah, that's something I didn't even notice when I was looking at this.
I obviously it won't be as strong as like other more well-known versions of that, but I do think it's something very interesting they can apply here. You're looking at
Oh,
fairly
100%.
solid removal with both Cyclozar and Talonflame, and you have
Hmm.
Lego there. And you do have the option to get that sticky web up, get those spikes up with Chestnut, and then block any attempts of removal with Lego.
Yeah. Definitely could see some hazard stack play coming in here to let the bundle just kind of clean teams up. That being said, I think much like the last team, breaking physically with this team is going to be a little bit more
Hmm.
difficult. Not that Dragonite and Crocodile can't run sets that can really make them threatening. Obviously, Rock Dusk is something that you never want to
Hmm.
discount. It is quite fragile though, but
Definitely.
I think breaking wise, you're going to be relying a lot, honestly, in my opinion, on Goldango because
Oh yeah.
I find that Iron Bundle functions best as some type of cleaner.
Hmm.
But it does have breaking potential as well if you want to run something like a spec set.
Oh yeah, I agree definitely. I think Slowking, well, you do have the interesting part where you're able to get the chilly reception Slowking into a Blizzard Iron Bundle, which could prove to be
Mm.
very strong, at least offensively.
Oh,
Um,
100%.
but yeah, I think yeah, the big thing here is you're looking at very strong specialty offensive moms between Bundle, Jiki, and Gholdengo, and you're really gonna want to support that Dragonite if you do want to try sweeping with it. And then yeah,
I do wonder if when people were voting on this team, if they were somewhat considering the fragility of the Pokemon that lie in that 100 to 120 and maybe even 125 speed tier. Talonflame,
hmm
Cyclizar, Lycanroc, Dusk. You don't. There's some reliability missing in that chunk. But I think overall this team has synergy. It has potential. It has that interesting little regen core. I think it has potential to do very well.
oh yeah, I agree. All right, let's move on to our number 10 here, which is going to be Bagel John on the Dubai Drapions.
Oh yeah, Bagel
This
Gang.
this is a very strong team. We see both Hisuian Samurott and Glamora here, which
Yep.
is just means you get all of the hazards.
Oh yeah, such
um,
reliable hazard setters.
oh, definitely. And you even like have the Galvantula there for good measure with sticky webs, which I
Hmm.
can see this team at least somewhat abusing. Like you might think that like it's somewhat anti-synergy when you have a very fast Iron Boulder or like a Dragapult, but being able to guarantee Scarf not being in play, it could be very big for those two.
Not to mention, if you look at the bottom half of this draft, those mons love a sticky web. I mean, Ursaluna
Hmm.
and Amorous T, in my opinion, are even a little too slow to take advantage of sticky web 9 times out of 10.
Potentially,
But
yeah.
they definitely don't mind it. Things around that base 100, even maybe as high as like a base 110.
Yeah,
That might be
definitely.
pushing it. But around base 100 and lower, those types of
Hmm.
Pokemon, if they're not running boots, could definitely get taken advantage of by something like a Guts or Saluna or an Amorous Therian.
Yeah. Personally, I think I ended up putting this team a lot higher, which I do find interesting on how it ended up placing.
I
I
did as well,
do,
yeah.
I do think um, the team might struggle a bit when it comes to the defensive end. I think you're very much relying on Sinistra and like Scissor to an extent. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think something like you're gonna have a hard time with like strong attacks coming in, and then your bulky core is going to revolve around those two.
I think especially on the physical side, we see a lot of really strong physical attackers. For example, the Urshifus. Two of the best defensive bonds of this team, Scizor and Ursaluna. I don't think they take attacks extremely well from either one. Scizor would definitely handle those two better. But some of your physical attackers here could get through this team.
Mm-hmm. But otherwise, yeah, no, I would say, I mean, the offense is great here. I think it's supported by very good hazards. You have decent removal with Mortal Spin, then like Defog Scissor.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, no, I think this team is very much more geared offensively, and it's going to be played that way. But yeah, we'll definitely have to see with how Bagel John's able to pilot this one. And that being said, let's move on to our number 9 here, which is going to end up being Fate on Ursa Ring That Bell. Dope news today.
And I like that logo a lot too.
Very well made.
Make sure to like and leave a sub, guys.
Yeah, no, I think this team is very strong offensively. We're looking at Palafin, Darkrai, Zapdos, Terra Ogerpon, very big threats on their own, which I do think there's also a very nice mix of physically offensive and specially offensive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Zapdos is just a great breaker. You think you have a ground type that's just going to invalidate it, but then that Hurricane does 50%. If it's not being blind that day. But you have the great breaking potential here.
I find myself often being tricked into like thinking, oh, that's like more of a defensive mon with how it's used in like OU sometimes. But like, no, that mon packs a punch with Hurricane.
100%. And I like the Skeleturge Terra as well. I've kind of glazed that a little bit in the past. It's just such a good defensive piece when you just need that one thing to make the matchups kind of swing more in your favor. If you have the right Terra type on that Skeleturge, it can just live forever.
Yes, definitely a great pickup with Ogerpon here. When it comes to, I think somewhat similarly to the past team, you're looking at Como, Skeleturge to somewhat carry your defensive core. You do have Zapdos, actually. So, I mean, you are looking at maybe a tad bit not as reliable. You're going to be looking at Zapdos to be like your main pivot for your like fast offensive mons. So
and it's gotta be there to check some of those physical threats that we've discussed earlier as well.
Yeah, definitely. I'm also personally not the biggest fan of having Excadrill as your only removal. I think as a spinner, I think it's decent as a spinner. I would love to have like a secondary option here. I think it could struggle a lot against flying types or whatever as like a strong way to punish Excadrill. And
without Toxic.
Mm-hmm, it does feel like it's forced out fairly easily after a spin.
Yeah.
It is.
And if you really look deeply into their hazards, it's going to be running Stealth Rock a lot as well.
Mm-hmm, because you're only, I believe the only hazards here are coming from Excadrill and Como. Oh, actually, in Ogerpon as well.
Ogerpon has spikes.
That's true.
Yeah.
Muck
has Toxic spikes.
Yeah, they're obviously not going to be as consistent as on something like Como. The team is supported by our 1 point Hippopotamus.
Yes, that's when I have Excadrill. It's one of my favorite things to grab at the end. It's gonna come to a game. Just watch for that one. Watch for the heat of the week.
I mean, it'll work. But yeah, no, I think the team gets to pilot the Palafin, the Darkrai, very strong offensive core for the top 4, and I'm quite excited to see what they end up pulling off with that.
Oh yeah.
All right, number 8. Let's scooch into number 8 here, and we're gonna have Twigs with the Pocket City Trash Pensions.
I think it's Rocket City.
Rocket City.
Yeah, Rocket City.
Sounds nice to the tongue. But yeah, no, I think we have a very interesting team here where we have a Terra Gothitelle, which I'm not very used to seeing, but sounds very threatening in my head.
Oh yeah, I mean that's you pick the Pokemon you want gone and it's gone.
Mm-hmm. And then
What's the item? Shed Shell?
Oh yeah, you're
That
gonna
lets
be
you switch out?
yeah. I mean, you're gonna be panic forcing people to run that Shed Shell occasionally, and then maybe not have any value out of it.
Yeah. I don't know. I just really love those top three. That was
Oh
a
yeah.
reasoning for me. Just putting this team so highly. It's just Great Tusk is just a gigantic threat. Wellspring Terra, gigantic threat. Weavile can beat teams all on its own.
Oh,
It's just a
absolutely.
really great offense. It's very physically oriented. But then
Mm-hmm.
you have Thunderous Therian and Gengar, and even Hisui and Gudra can drop a Draco every now and then that does quite a bit of damage.
No, definitely. I do think the team. I mean, you do have Thunderous T, which is decent for your special offense. It's a little bit lacking on that end. You do have Heatran.
Yeah, he
But
tried special attacks quite good.
oh, that's true. And I do think the defensive pieces for this team fit fairly well on it as well. Heatran, Clef, Hisuian, Gudra. You could maybe include Gothitelle in that. But yeah, no, you have. I think you have very like mid-budget defensive picks that complement the team very well.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have like the large, glaring weaknesses here. You've got like the best removal with Great Tusk. You've got a good. I mean, you've got like multiple decent stealth rock setters. You could run spikes if you want on Ogerpon W, which might be a little bit hard, especially if it's wants to spam Ivy Cudgels. But no, I quite like how this team ended up pulling off their offensive core.
Yeah, yeah. It does look like there is a bit of a speed gap, like towards the middle of the speed tiers, like that below 100 range. But that's, I feel, not a big problem in Gen 9. And it also kind of frees up things like Gengar to be more bulky, or Ogerpon Wellspring to run a bulkier set, or even go Adamant. Because you
Yeah,
can
that's true.
rely on Gengar for that 110 speed control, 100%.
I agree.
Yeah. Solid team, very solid team.
Yeah, no, very much in favor of it. Let's move on to our number 7 here, which is going to be E-Man on the Boston Ballers. And we're going to see a
All
typical
in.
Zarude team here.
Yep. Love the boy.
Very interesting stuff here to me. You have Zarude, which is obviously going to be the main centerpiece of the team. I mentioned in the last video, but I think a lot of what we're seeing with these Zarude teams is trying to support it as best as possible. And
100%.
we are going to see that with a bunch of hazards from Garchomp, a bunch of pivoting with like Keldeo, Cinderace, slow Serena.
Rachi can pivot, yeah.
You could
Bullfish can pivot.
Yeah, you can technically even go for like Wish support from Jirachi. You definitely have options here. I do think the team probably lacks a little bit in special offense. That's entirely going to be relegated on Keldeo, basically.
Yep. Yeah, it's DNC can like occasionally come to a game. I mean, I wouldn't say 100 base of attack is really hitting that hard, but you can occasionally run like that Trick Room power set with DNC if the matchup's right. But it's going to be tough to find the special offense here. That's for sure.
Yeah. I will say, looking at removal here, I do think you're looking at Serena, which isn't as strong as its role, and then you're obviously going to have the court change Cinderace, which
Probably
might
pulling a lot of the
not be
weight.
able to fully get rid of those hazards as much as it'd like. If they get set
Yeah,
back
there's
up
definitely
again.
some downsides.
You're going to be looking
That's why
yeah, it's definitely. I do think it'll have a hard time on those teams that can very consistently set up hazards.
Yeah. I mean, even something like setting up screens is what I was going to say with something like Jirachi.
Very true.
You have to be a little wary of that with Cinderace, because the last thing you want to do is end up in a situation where you have a full stack of hazards on your side of the field and you need to give them your screens to give them the hazards back, and then they just spin them all away. It's definitely a riskier strategy for hazard removal, but overall, definitely a solid team, very threatening.
Hmm. I do also, there is nothing faster than the Cinderace here. And that's, I feel like that's probably okay. You're just gonna find yourself probably needing to run Scarf Keldeo a lot, maybe Scarf Guardian.
Mm-hmm. Scarf
Um,
Jirachi can come every once in a while as
Scarf
well.
Raji too. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're probably not gonna want that Scarf into Zarude. But no,
No,
I do think the team that has some pieces here, I think it has decent ways to support the Zarude.
definitely, we'll see what it can do.
Absolutely. That being said, let's move on to number 6 here, which is going to be the Rage 77 with the Buffalo Toros. And here we're going to see another core that I believe we saw back on the PB
Yep.
rankings, where we see Necrozma, Dawn, and Urshifu single.
Yeah,
And
with that
then,
Terra as well, we've seen that pop off
absolutely.
already.
And not to like ignore the Shaman Sky right underneath it. I think the team has very terrifying offenses here.
Oh yeah. And I really do think it's solidly defensive as well. Rotom Wash, fantastic utility, fantastic defense.
Hmm.
Non-fan just says no to a lot of the physical mons in the tier. I mean, you have to definitely chip that thing down, chip Rotom Wash down before you think about going for a sweep. Incineroar can even come and intimidate things with great hazard options in Klefki and Donphan. Ogerpon Cornerstone can bring spikes as well. Maybe it's a little weaker on the hazard side. I believe Dragalge gets toxic spikes if I'm not mistaken, but you have pivoting, you have strong defenses, you have great utility abilities, synergy, that awesome offensive core at the tippy top. I think this team has great stuff going for it.
Hmm. I agree. I'm quite a fan of the Ogerpon C Tierra here as well. I think it could complement Urshifu quite well. I think they got very good value for their second Terra captain. And I think Ogerpon fills a nice speed tier between uh, that Urshifu and that Shaman Sky. And I think it
Definitely.
can definitely bring a lot of utility with spikes, with Encore, or then just go for like a full-on attacking set with like Swords Dance, ID Cudgel, and then threading on its own way like that.
Yep. It is quite hard to switch into.
Yeah, no, I can say I'm a very big fan of how the Rage end up pulling this off, and I think it'll be extremely threatening offensively.
Oh, for sure. I can't wait to see that Dragalge come to a game and pop off and get some of those adaptability kills as well. It's
It's
just
it's a
really strong all the way down.
yeah, no, absolutely. All right, let's. I think we can get going with our number 5 here, which is gonna end up being Golden Cyber with the Moss Deep Meteor Mashes. Um,
And Metagross representing as the mascot on the team.
Indeed. We're gonna see. So it's gonna be a Terra Tornadoes team, which has some fairly good defense to support it. I'd say you've got Petrant, Florges. You could totally run a bulkier Tornadoes T. Um,
Yep.
no, I think the team definitely has some very neat defenses to complement, Scarada and a more offensive Torn T here. I will
Yeah, I
say
do
that,
really, really like the wish support for those defensive pieces that don't have recovery.
oh, definitely. I mean, even just for like a Petrant here, Petrant's going to be able to soak up those poison moves, those steel moves, as well as Metagross that Floor just doesn't want to tank. And you're looking at a very strong physically Pokemon, a very strong specialty Pokemon, and those who will complement each other well. I One thing I did want to knock on this team for is I do think with how similar Meowscarada and Tornadus T's speed tiers are, I think they'll find each other like kind of overlapping on what they want to do. So I do feel like you're maybe going to be seeing more, potentially more of a slightly defensive role on this Tornadus T, but also potentially as a setup sweeper instead of as the cleaner as you'd probably be looking at Desperado for.
Yeah, in ways it's an advantage at times, but it depends on the matchup. And I agree, the kind of role overlap there with the pivoting Meow and Torn, hard hitting pivots. Not to say they don't hit hard, but pivoting is quite nice in general on this team. I could really see, honestly, it almost feels strange to say because it's the sixth pick, but I do feel the Landers is well supported to get in and comfortably and make some things happen as well.
Mm-hmm. All right. I think that being said, we can move on to our number 4 here, which is going to end up being Queen of Roses on the How to Train Your Tarantulas or Tarantula.
Yep.
But I think we very interestingly here we've got the combo of Terra Thunderous and Terra Quavel, and I'd argue that's not even necessarily the centerpiece of the team. When we're looking at the top of Spectrier, of Ting Lu, of Kiram.
Yeah, they thought they could hide the little Slow King Kiram chili core down there,
Oh yeah, I mean,
just hanging out.
just the defensive core here is insane. When you're looking at Ting Lu,
Oh
Corviknight,
yeah,
Slowking, that's just going to be annoying to break, incredibly annoying.
I think Fez will be quite nice here as well. But yeah, this team's going to be extremely annoying to break. Not to mention, while you're trying to break it, it's positioning itself for something like Spectrier or Terrible Quabble, just smash through the team. Kirin being a great breaker for them. I do think that this team has a lot of potential. And not to mention, does it have hazards for days? No, but it has a Tinglu. And I think that
And
speaks for itself.
that's really all you need. I'm very
Definitely.
interested in seeing what the Terracle Quavel will do here. I think we've been talking a lot about how we really want these top tier ghosts, and particularly Spectre, to have a strong way to deal with normal types and dark types. And fighting types are mainly going to be your big way here. And seeing a
Oh
Terra
yeah.
fighting type here is very interesting to me. And I'm not quite sure how we'll see it used on Quavel.
Yeah, that's true. You think you'd want it to keep its typing. We could see Terra fighting just to boost that close combat to its max.
Hmm.
But it is quite nice with Tinglu can sap up hits from those ghost types, from those dark types. But it can also break them up a little bit and get them ready for Quabble to just threaten them out every time or into a position to just win the game. I think that this
Absolutely.
team has a lot of synergy. I think that pretty much every one of these picks was made with the team synergy in mind. It just feels very succinct and together.
Definitely. Can very well appreciate the Tarantula mascot at the bottom
Oh yeah, yeah. Got to grab the mascot. Got to grab
there.
it.
Very much the centerpiece of the team when you think about
I like how we left the strengths in here. Very annoying defensive core. Yes, very annoying.
it. Oh, I did leave the strings here. But yeah, that's definitely going to be the big thing here.
Needed to be said. Anyway, let's move on, shall we?
Scooching on to number 3 here, we have Axel Raid on the Minnesota Bearticks. And here, I think we immediately see a bump up where even just the offensive core of Sam Zenta, Namoris, and Gouging Fire is incredibly strong.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. And I also personally just love seeing Zama paired with Gliscor and some type of strong steel type like Iron Crown, Goldango. Those two come to mind immediately. But I think it's very threatening. I think Gliscor is great for taking some of those attacks for Crown and vice versa. And you can actually see those two in tandem doing some work.
Absolutely.
Just a
Um,
great top five.
yeah, I mean, even like Iron Crown, yeah, like very, very strong, especially offensive mon. I think the option of 2 booster energy mons here definitely has combo potential. And all that to be comboed with a Gliscor that's able to set variety of hazards up is extremely good.
Oh yeah, definitely. You got the hazards. Superior with glare is definitely a great budget pick.
Hmm.
Tentacruel can get the hazards off the field, set those toxic spikes. Rhyperior, great hazard setter as well. You have everything you need to support the Zamazenta, the Ehmcee, and the Gouging Fire to just rip through teams. Any one of those could break, sweep, clean. They're just all three of those are such great picks.
Oh, totally. I do think you are looking at a double contrary mons, so this definitely isn't a team that you want to be setting sticky webs against,
Oh yeah, definitely not. I mean, yeah, Nam could literally Terra into any type other than flying
and then
and
just
take advantage of
abuse
them as
that every
well.
day. Hmm.
Oh yeah.
No, I think
Then
this
there's
team
some
is
nice
a
budget bulk at the bottom with Umbreon as well. Not
oh,
to mention Wish
definitely.
support.
Yeah, the wish support both into Zamazenta, Gouging Fire, High Score even all have great applications. I'm a big sucker for
Healing Wish on the
AV Iron
Anam if it's
Crown
about to go
too.
down.
Definitely.
Oh, I love AV Iron Crown. That's a beautiful Pokemon right there.
Absolutely.
AV Specs or Booster. I'll take it. I'll take any of the three.
Hmm. But yeah, no, I think the team has very, very strong offensive, very strong defensives to accompany it, both in Zamazenta, Gouging Fire, Gliscor. And all of these mons always obviously have large offensive potential as well.
Yeah, it's just fantastic. Yeah, there is the potential for Zama to be defensive or just come in with that boost one time and just invalidate some physical attacker. It's just
Totally.
there's a lot of interesting role compression in these Pokemon as well.
Hmm. All right. I think now moving on to number two, which we will see has a consensus with Isake and on the Free Spectre facades. And I
Yeah.
think this team is very similar to our number one spot on Psycho Boost with you'll see the common Mola Hydrapple Core, Terra Hydrapple Core with Iron Valiant.
Yep.
And the team
Yep.
is very well supported by a variety of strong, fast offensive breakers like Deoxys, Roaring Moon, Iron Valiant, while having strong defensive options with Mola, Galarian Weezing, Hydrapple to an extent. Even like Iron Treads has a nice variety of both here.
Yeah, and then that Sableye, really annoying at the bottom. Staraptor can definitely smash through some teams if it has the right matchups as well. I can see every single one of these Pokemon coming to a match.
Absolutely. I think very strong options both with hazards. Deoxys can definitely set those up as a lead. You've got Stealth Rock Treads. You've got potentially even like Toxic Spikes from G-Weezing. And then you have very strong removal with both Treads and a Defog Weezing potentially.
100%. I think one interesting thing about this team is you do have that really strong bulky regenerator core, but you have the
Mm,
potential in these Pokemon to also run some type of really strong offense. Deoxys Speed, Iron Valiant, Roaring Moon, all able to do a lot. Tread's able to spin, use that booster to guarantee that, get some rocks up. Solid
absolutely.
screens. Sableye is great for a hyper offense setup.
Hmm.
I think this more of like a bulky offense leaning with Hydro Apple, but yeah, it's definitely got a lot of potential to run a variety of strategies as well.
Absolutely. No, I think Ice definitely got to pick some very strong offensive mons and just pair it with like obviously an incredible regen core, has access to Wish, has access to honestly just about everything you'd want to like stop most teams here.
100%. And I think with that we can move on to our number one.
Our final spot at number one here, and we're actually going to see another consensus from both the panel and the audience here with a number one, which is Delp on the Southern Sandslash. And
This team is beautiful.
I
I
adore
can't
it.
deny it.
I
Oh
think
my
it's
goodness.
it
I
is a
like
beautiful grassy terrain team.
you
I
know what my
think
favorite part about this is, and I haven't really seen it paired too often, is the Terapagos with the Rillaboom. I
oh
just
totally.
absolutely love that because you can take like a little tiny bit of chip and maybe make that back up. Something like Leftovers plus the terrain, I think that gets you back to Stealth Rock. Like, you don't even have
Absolutely.
to run. I mean, obviously, you're still being forced to run that item specifically, but
Hmm.
it's just very interesting how Terapagos can like slowly kind of get its health back. Something like Protect on the next turn could allow you to run pretty much whatever item you want.
Oh yeah. I think especially when we're looking at, I think there's many teams that run Rillaboom here that will use it as a utility piece to help a lot of members on its team. And I think this team does it beautifully because if you look at that top four, all of them just appreciate grassy terrain so much. And you
Yeah.
even have like that Swampert and that Chi-Yu, which both have ways to appreciate it as well.
Yeah, Swampert's been running Protect lefties since like it was born. I mean,
Hmm.
it definitely has potential to abuse the grassy terrain.
I think Tinkaton's a great defensive pickup here. I think it very much offers a, a standard check to many Pokemon, and then has those options to support the team with Stealth Rock, with Thunder Wave, Encore, which is going to make your offensive pieces that much more threatening.
Yeah, there's not too much that I can say negatively about this team. You could, I don't even think you can make an argument about the bulk just because Raging Bolt can always take, two or three from most Pokemon, especially with Terra. Terapagos is like a guaranteed hit. Tinkaton
Hmm.
doesn't go down that easy. Rillaboom's pretty bulky as well. Swampert's got a great bulk.
Totally.
Even Chi-Yu can take a hit. I mean, this is just a team that can take them and dish them, and when they dish them, it's gonna hurt.
Absolutely. No, I think they did a terrific job looking at very strong offensive threat, supporting it with Rillaboom, and you're going to have a hard time breaking into these on their own because they complement each other so well.
Well, cool.
That being said, I think we're just about finished up here. Uh, Thank you for listening to our attack power rankings. We hope everyone has great luck for their WPF season. And yeah, no, congratulations to everyone on the list, and good luck with everything.
Best of luck, fantastic drafting, and I'll be signing off.
Absolutely. Have a good one, WPF, and have a good season.